Oh, you damn right. Let's get a modcast going on a Tuesday. It's a very special Tuesday on the 40 acres. It's so busy, you don't see any of the mods right now because they are out covering all of it. I'm Chad Hastings at Helmet Hall of Helmet Central here, and hopefully we're going to get a visit from all three of the guys you normally see joining me on the modcast. Anwar Richardson, Jason Sukamel, Alex Dunlap, they're all on campus today because spring football starts today. As I'm sitting here on this Tuesday, it is 158 days until Texas plays Ohio State, but you no longer have to want for a little footage here and there, a little coverage for all the stuff you're going to want to know about this football team. Orangebloods.com is always your place. So let's start there. Let me throw up a little bit of that for you. Little orangebloods.com. Hit the QR code. Get signed up with Orange Bloods. You've talked about it. You've thought about it. Now do it. As always, the modcast is sponsored by Daily and Black. We want to thank them. Before I show you another graphic, let's show you their QR code. Daily and Black for all your legal needs. They will help you. Go to dailyblack.com or just click on the QR code. And of course, it's DALY on that spelling. They will be able to help you out. And if you guys want to jump in the chat, our man Jareth was in early, ready to roll. Text guy says, yeah, look at this. Text guy. Oh, yeah, look, it is me. It is me, text guy. For now, it is me, but the guys will be jumping in here very quickly. So in case you don't realize what's going on this Tuesday, there's a lot of stuff already. It was already first day of spring practice, and we'll get to some new jersey numbers coming up, my favorite part of spring practice, and before the guys join us. So that's why the guys are on campus today, getting to see a little bit of practice, getting to see a little bit of things, little media window, if you will. So that's why they're down there. It's also pro day today. Pro timing day doesn't start till 1 p.m. So that's another reason Alex Dunlap is headed down there. He'll be covering that for orangebloods.com. Check out OB for all the updates there. And obviously with Football with Friends this evening at 6, Alex will be back from all of that. And I'm sure they'll have an incredible show today, he and Cody, with all that information. All the Oscar's just ready for more baseball. But Oscar, we'll let you know. We will let you know. And if you could wake up that A&M baseball team for me, that'd be nice. That'd be really considerate. The other thing going on today, not baseball, but basketball, they went ahead and scheduled the Sean Miller presser today at 11. So here's what we're going to do. This is your modcast, and but also shout out to our graphics team and our guy Tyler. He threw this one together too. A little OB spring ball show, if you will. We'll do that now, and again, hopefully the guys are going to be able to jump in. Anwar let me know they were running a little bit behind, but I thought we could get this started. I'll give you some New Jersey numbers to think about. You jump in the chat, and then the guys will get in and join us. So it will be the spring ball show coming up, but it is also, of course, the modcast brought to you by Daily and Black. If you guys want to jump in the chat, and good advice from Oscar, not forgetting to blink. Yes, it's gone from too much blinking to don't forget to blink. So I got to try to find the middle ground there. All right, so as we get started with spring football stuff, already Anwar was sending us a couple of videos that he got at practice. I've seen Arch throw a deep ball. Texas fans, I've seen Arch throw a deep ball. It's very exciting. It's a pretty nice deep ball, too. Here's some updated jersey numbers for you. I think this is something fans get into a little bit. Now, maybe you'd be into it a little more if there was a true spring game, but I am hoping for all the fans and those of us that cover the team as well, hopefully we'll get to have like an open practice where everybody gets to go and check it out. So let me go numerically and let you know a couple of the new things. So Colin Simmons and Ryan Wingo are going after number 1. They will both be wearing 1. Obviously for Colin Simmons, taking a 1 off of his jersey. And for Ryan Wingo, that is the transition from the 5 to the 1 in terms of his jersey number. So that is happening. Ladies and gentlemen, look at this. Well, Jeff Ketchum jumping in. Ketch will also be joining me for House Divided later on. We'll be reviewing that Sean Miller press conference, which happens at 11 o'clock. Ketch, how are you?
I'm good. I just couldn't let you like sit out here by yourself.
I appreciate it
for you.
No, I appreciate it. And hey, it was my decision to go ahead and get started. Anwar said they're running a little bit behind, but I figure, we crank it up, talk a little football.
You guilt trip me into doing the show. Today's supposed to be I'm just working all day.
I know. And I feel bad. That's why.
You should.
I do.
You absolutely provoked me out of a one-day retirement.
But all I did was provoke you into hopefully a short 12 o'clock show reviewing Sean Miller. I don't
even think that matters. Like you and I disagree about what we're doing at noon.
Fair enough.
I think we'll mention Sean Miller, but
okay.
It's a big day. I think Aaliyah Chavez is bigger than Sean Miller's press conference.
Yeah, and that announcement hits at 1 o'clock today. Is that right?
Yes, and all indications, at least today, would seem to be pointing towards Oklahoma, which, is an interesting discussion when you consider the magnitude of the decision, what Texas needs in the program. So there's a lot of stuff going on. We'll get into a lot of that stuff, obviously, at noon. Obviously, the start of spring football, though, paramount to everything that's of main focus today, with all due respect to baseball and basketball and women's basketball and all this stuff that's out there. Chad, you were about to bring up some number changes. There are the roster's got the new updated spring roster has a few interesting items on it that I think more than anything, as we wait for the firsthand reports of what was witnessed at practice today, there is a few eye-opening things in there for me.
Okay. I saw you throw something out on a chat of ours. Where would you start? What jumps out?
Well, number one, look, literally number one, Colin Simmons changing his number to number 1 is the thing that stands out the most.
Oh, that's cool. So it's not just me. I'm always the OCD freak that looks at jersey numbers. I'm glad somebody else does too.
Well, cool. I feel bad if somebody bought an 11 jersey. Ricky did this.
Yes.
Because you're like 11. That's kind of a dope number. I'm going to get myself a Colin Simmons jersey. And then he changes his number to 1, which is cooler than number 1, than 11. So
now he made 11 look pretty badass too, but you're right. That one is definitely noteworthy. And then on the offensive side, I'm always interested to see if somebody wants to take number 1, and that's going to be Ryan Wingo. As I was mentioning, as you jumped in. So Ryan Wingo is going to wear number 1. Ketch, he thought it was 11, but of course that was double vision. I swear it's the only time I'm going to make that joke. All right. So Ryan Wingo and Colin Simmons going with number 1. And then
I think it's always interesting to see who gets single-digit numbers. I feel like it tells you a lot about what the coaches think of these players in the program.
And before we get to any new guys with single digits, how about Trey Wisner going to a single digit?
Maybe the biggest sign that he sees himself as a starting running back. And maybe, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, well, you get number 5. I'll be honest. The thing that stood out now, of the running backs, it was hard not for me to notice that CJ Baxter's up from 220 pounds to 230 pounds. I don't know that that's what I want that guy doing in his. I don't know that I watched CJ Baxter as a freshman go into a season where then he tears his ACL. And it just never crossed my mind. You know what would be good for him? Gaining 10 pounds. Whether it's muscle, whether it's whatever it is. A bigger CJ Baxter, I don't know. I have questions. I realize I'm a freak. And I realize that the standard protocol answer when it comes to CJ Baxter is he'll be ready to go on September 1st, 30 carries if needed. No need to be concerned about the knee injury at all. All added weight is good weight. I get it. First round pick in the making. I just, I have questions, and, we'll see what happens as he comes back from that injury. But, I don't know. Again, 230 pounds is probably the way he was always going to go. I just don't know that I think that's the best thing for him. Now, whereas I think CJ Baxter, I look at his weight on the roster and go, is that too much? The one that popped out like a sore thumb is incoming 5-star defensive tackle freshman, incoming freshman Justice Terry, tipping the scales at 6'5", 263 pounds. What's really interesting about that, Chad, is it is the same height and only 4 pounds heavier than Zena Yamuzalo.
Wow.
Who's an edge player and, a guy that I really like. But when you think about this is a long way of me saying Justice Terry right now looks more like a strong side defensive end than I think defensive tackle. Maybe he's able to give you something inside on pass rushing downs, but he might be a year away from truly being an inside guy.
So what did you expect that number to be?
Not 263.
Okay.
280 plus?
You were looking for that 10 pounds from Baxter to go to him.
He's always a lean athletic guy. 263. My reaction to that is a little bit like when I saw John Turntine's weight, when it was like, oh, that's a guy that needs to play at the next level if he's going to be an inside guy, if he's going to be able in the SEC to engage in the hand-to-hand combat that's kind of projected of him. Like, he's just got to have more mass. He's got to be bigger. Now, I think the cool thing for Justice Terry is that it certainly beefs up potentially an edge position. We know they lose a guy in Baron Sorrell. I think there's a lot of bodies there that can contribute at the defensive end position. I think he's probably in that mix. He's going to be on the field. I think at defensive tackle, you've got the 3 incoming transfers. You've got Alex January. And I don't know now how much I would include Justice Terry immediately as a factor inside. 263 is pretty light. 263 playing inside in the SEC is like playing an edge player inside. Doesn't mean that the guy can't make an occasional play. It doesn't mean that he can't have some success, but I think we would all agree that in general, a 260-ish pound interior lineman in the SEC is begging for issues. And, I think so. He's a guy that's going to make more than 6 figures this season at Texas. So they're going to get him on the field. I think they're just going to now get him on the field maybe in a different capacity than we thought they might the day he committed.
Taking a look at some other, before we get to newer guys, how about Jelani McDonald going with number 4 on the defensive side? Receivers can look really cool in the single digits catch. Defensive guys obviously can too. We talked about Colin Simmons grabbing 1. Jelani McDonald, who's now moving inside, right? Inside to the nickel position.
I love how I did like a football discussion and you took me right back to numbers. You can't be saved.
Well, no. We didn't
All
just
you heard was me say, I was like Charlie Brown's teacher talking about Justice Terry. It was like, wah, 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 wah.
No, it's not true.
And as soon as I stopped talking, you were like, hey, man.
My bad.
Jelani McDonald's wearing number 4.
Yeah. My bad. I did not do the right transition there. I did the wrong transition. The proper transition was, did you see that Justice Terry is going to wear number 15? I should have brought that up because that's going to be a critical factor. All right. Other than the Justice Terry thing, what else is jumping out to you on the roster?
Well, Bo Barnes, maybe this is the best way to put it. Incoming freshman linebacker Bo Barnes is 6'1", 245 pounds. He's a few biscuits away from being Justice Terry on the weight-wise. And look, Bo Barnes is freaky. He runs a sub 1,100 meters. He's incredibly athletic. And in the history, I'll just say this. In the history of Texas football, since I've been covering it, so last 30 seasons-ish, I actually predate it slightly. I've never seen a linebacker come in at 245 pounds and stay at linebacker and make it. It's never happened. I mean, even, there's kind of a weird 220 pounds number where weirdly you can look at every linebacker in the state of Texas that's ever produced a 4 or 5-star ranking. And the only guys that weighed more than 220 pounds coming out of high school that ended up making it and being big-time players ended up being guys that were big-time guys, like big-time guys. It's a guy like Keenan. Wait, I'm trying to remember who even the guys were. I know Baron Browning was one at Ohio State. Sergio Kendall was another. And sometimes these guys end up being edge players. The sweet spot coming out in high school is a little bit south of 220. When they go above that, there's just not historically a big success rate. I don't know. I don't know what to think of Bo Barnes. He is freaky, but he's 6'1", 245. To put that into perspective, Anthony Hill is 6 foot 237. To put that into perspective, Spence, the new kid that they're bringing in from Arkansas that is kind of an edge guy almost as much as anything else. He weighs less than that. I'm trying to find him on the roster. He's 6'2", 238. So it's just interesting that the incoming freshman, who's not really thought of as a big, stout guy, he's 245, but he's generally thought of as like the fast guy, the athletic guy, that he comes in such an unusual physical package just makes him really fascinating to keep an eye on, because whatever success he has moving forward, we're going to look at that and go, well, that changes what we think is possible at the linebacker position, because he will be such a statistical anomaly should he pan out at that size. So that stands out to me. It's hard not to look at all of the freshmen. Lance Jackson comes in at 6'5", 258, maybe a little bit lighter than I thought. Maybe he's right at, but you wondered, okay, was he a guy that might stack 15 pounds on after arriving and doing a full, college offseason? I realize that's only 2 months-ish. But, if they had reported him at 6'5", 275, I wouldn't have blinked. Instead, he's 6'5", 258. Again, feels more like a guy that comes in, and I think this is expected to be kind of a strong side defensive end guy in the beginning. The question will always be long-term, does he grow into an interior guy? It'll be the same question we have with Justice Terry. You wonder, are both of those guys going to grow into interior guys? Are both of those guys going to have a big portion of their career be on the outside and then they eventually get there? I think their stories are still being written, and it's kind of hard to forecast. But at least initially, they're definitely edge, strong side defensive end type players, and not, I think, interior guys on the defensive line where, look, man, even a guy that's 300 pounds, I mean, you better be Byron Murphy if, if you're in that range, the Tavondre Sweats and the Alfred Collinses and even the Vernon Broughtons of the world, just are bigger guys. And I think that, it's impossible not to look at their I think, sizes on the roster and think about the implications.
And again, somebody was asking about how Barnes was listed on Rivals. 6'2", 230 was that number. And again, Ketch is telling you he's at 245 right now. So Ketch at that size.
So he puts on the 15 pounds, Chad, that you wondered, well, will some of the big guys do that? Is a guy going to be, I just talked about it with Lance Jackson. You wondered, would he be a guy that might be 15 pounds heavier than we were anticipating based on Rivals' profile? Barnes being at 245 is, it's an unusual weight. I don't have any negative reaction to it other than to say, man, we just haven't seen that before. There's nobody that we can point to. Matter of fact, by the way, I guess it's either a good or bad thing that you went live because you and we're just doing a show.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, I'm not sure either. But that was about 20 minutes ago. And yeah, I don't. I'm
about to start giving you linebacker data, and it's like, was this the show we were going to do at noon? And now it's just the 10 o'clock show. It's the modcast.
Right, exactly. It's the modcast with the mods working hard on the 40 acres in one aspect, and this mod working hard to make sure I'm not just reading roster numbers.
Well, you would be done with that by now, wouldn't you have?
I would think so. I mean, there has been a chat that was asking a question, but that's okay. We don't
super chat. Did I miss something?
It's not a super chat. No, it was a regular chat was asking about.
Do we want to throw the people a bone and do a regular chat?
Well, I'm just we can throw some information out there. Sandman wanted to know who got 7. I let him know it was Khalil Lockett. He meant on defense. No one on defense is wearing 7.
It's the only number on the inside the single digit set of numbers that doesn't have dual numbers.
Yeah, a little bit shocked. I was a little, especially when you consider like a Jelani McDonald's going to 4, but nobody's got 7. I thought,
that's going to somebody's going to notice that.
I would think
somebody's going to have a crappy number that they don't want, and they're going to go, well, and it's got to be on the defensive side, right? So Lockett is 7 on offense, so somebody on defense has got to go, I could really do without 25 or 18 or 9. Like somebody will take 7. Are you proud, though, that I noticed that was the only single-digit number that didn't have dual participants?
I'm glad. I'm very proud of you for noticing that. I am the one that I actually looked it up to double check for Sandman, but I didn't realize it was the only one. And that is surprising because 7's such a cool number. But there you go. So maybe Sandman's right. Maybe that is Michael Huff's decision to crown a successor, and he has not found somebody to take number 7. Maybe we'll see like a cool video where they present number 7 to somebody on defense.
Because it's Michael Huff, it's not outside the realm of possibilities.
No, that could be a real thing. I like that. I think that
I sometimes think that Michael Huff thinks he's Vince Young. Because I could totally see Michael Huff putting I love that all these years later, the idea of Michael Huff crowning somebody based on what he did in 2005. I think that is just spectacular.
It could be fantastic is what it could be. Could be fantastic. So just real quick, back to Bo Barnes. When you see something like that, does it tell you we could be looking at just a different kind of linebacker? Or does it tell you we might be looking at a different position for the guy?
No, I don't know. We are, look, no matter, we've never seen it before.
Okay.
So whatever it is, we've not seen it before. Nobody in that physical package has ever played linebacker at Texas. Or, you'd almost have to go back to a guy like Brian Jones to find a guy that was, I think, of that a bit of that size. That, and I didn't cover Brian, so I don't. That predates me, but I don't know what Brian was as a prospect. I don't know how big he was when he came in. I didn't see Brian when he was in high school, and I never had the conversation in my head of, is he an edge, which didn't even exist really back when he played. So it's really hard, but maybe, you'd say maybe a guy, I'm trying to remember, Dusty Renfro. I'd have to go back and look and see how big was he. But in this modern era, I mean, Keenan Robinson, if I'm not mistaken, was above 220. I think he was 225 as a high school prospect. But Keenan Robinson was a freak. He was a 5-star guy. He would fall into that category. I got to pull up the numbers. And I don't want to make too big of a deal out of this because it's not my intention in this show to be like, let's talk about Bo Barnes. But I can't help, Chad, that there is some fascinating number on the linebacker. So let me see if I can pull this up and have the numbers in front of me, because if I can find the list quickly, it's just kind of crazy. Please let me find this thing easily.
If y'all want to jump in and throw a super chat, you can do that while Ketch is looking at that. Let's hear
Okay, so I got this chat, okay?
Oh, so close. Yes, sir.
Do you want to do it? I can wait. I have it.
Nah, it's okay. Once you got it, the rhythm was done. Hit it.
So these are the linebackers from the state of Texas that were 4-star or 5-star guys. Not high 4 or 5, like any 4, any 5, okay?
Okay.
These are the linebackers from the state of Texas. And I guess you'd have to go, and I need to update this, because this might be, I need to go back and make sure I'm not leaving somebody from the last 2 drafts out, but this is essentially 20 years of data. You with me?
Mm-hmm.
This is the list. Keenan Robinson, 6'3", 211. I was wrong.
Wow.
Travis Lewis, 6'1", 213. Corey Nelson, 6 foot 210. Otaro Alaka, remember him?
I do.
6'3", 210. Malik Jefferson, 6'2", 218. Kenneth Murray, 6'2", 208. Baron Browning, 6'3", 230. Anthony Hines, 6'3", 218. And then Sergio Kendall was 6'4", 225. So in the history of the Rivals rankings, at the linebacker position, no 4 or 5-star kid from the state of Texas, all of them, every linebacker ever that's ever received a recruiting grade from Rivals, only 2 guys have ever weighed more than 218 pounds, man, and gone on to be drafted NFL players. One of them, Sergio Kendall, ends up being a defensive end, essentially. He's an edge player by the time his career ends. The only other guy is Baron Browning, who went to Ohio State, had a great career, is in the NFL right now, 6'3", 230.
And he did stay at linebacker.
Yes.
Right? Yes.
Our guy is showing up, smashing that size,
15.
smashing it to pieces.
10 plus 5.
10 plus 5. And so I don't know how to react to that. What am I supposed to do? I know I have that data point. And this is one of these things where you do all this historical data, Chad. And every once in a while, you get a thing in your head and you can't forget it. And I've seen people make fun of me over this because they're like, Ketch is making too big of a deal. If a guy weighs 219 pounds, does that mean he's not going to make it? And it's like, oh, no. Don't get too literal with this, right? It's almost like the ballparkness of it all. Don't get so specific in only 2 guys have weighed above 218 pounds at 200. I'm just telling you what exists. I'm not telling you the guy can't weigh 219 or 221 or 223. What I'm telling you is in the last 20 years, only 2 guys in the history of recruiting in the state of Texas at the linebacker position have weighed that much and gone on to become drafted NFL players, which is what everybody wants of Bo Barnes, right? He's never even taken a college snap. But if I were to say, our goal for Bo Barnes is to become a starting level college player who's good enough that NFL teams covet him. That seems like a fair bar. I bet he has that bar. I bet Bo Barnes, that's the bar for Bo Barnes at a minimum. We've never seen a guy in his physical package. And oh, by the way, Sergio Kendall, 6'4", Baron Browning, 6'3", Bo Barnes, 6'1". So he's an incredibly athletic tank, Chad. He's a tank. Mm-hmm. And if he doesn't make it, I'm going to say, well, we had the data points that told us, maybe it was a red flag because it just never happens. Or in 10 years, we're going to talk about Bo Barnes being maybe the most unicornish of linebacker prospects that the state of Texas has ever produced.
We did get a super chat in a few minutes ago. Let's grab that real quick. Longhorn Football Edits jumps in for $5. Thank you, Edits. What up, fellas? I need more Longhorn football injected into my veins. This summer is going to be excruciatingly slow. Can't wait for the season. Edits, I told you earlier, 158 days till Columbus. You can get there. You can get there, I promise. And now you got spring football. I saw Arch Manning throw a deep ball today. It happened. I saw it. Anwar videoed it, sent it to us on a chat. It was fantastic. It was magical. You're going to start seeing all that kind of stuff. So it's going to be all right. But it is going to be a hell of a season in 2025.
Chad, I'll give you another one that I like.
Okay.
Brandon Baker at 6'4", 316. I love that he is streamlining his body, but not adding weight. Whereas you needed Trevor Gooseby when he and Trevor Gooseby essentially weigh the same amount. Gooseby a little bit taller now, but Gooseby arrives as a guy at 275 that you thought, man, that guy's got to slap 40 pounds on his body, and he has. Whereas you looked at Baker and you said, he's got to be able to come in and tone up the body, get it in peak condition without losing weight, but you don't want him getting much bigger either. You don't want to lose the thing that you think makes him really good. That both of those guys are in that 315 to 320 range. I think that's where you would want them to be. Although, look, we know ultimately Kyle Flood likes large humans. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's looking at Brandon Baker and go, how come we hadn't fattened that kid up yet? He's been on campus 14 months. He should already have like a spare tire around his midsection. But I like the look of the tackles. But those are the main ones that jump out. I don't see anything else. Jordan Washington being 6'4", 268 at tight end. Or 258, excuse me. The numbers are a little blurry to my blind ass. But even at 258, like that's
big tight end.
Because he came in 225-ish. So when we talk about like what happens to guys in year one, I go back to the Justice Terrys of the world, right? There are guys that you look at and you wonder, some guys just show up and they get 3 square meals a day and they're working out every day. And it's like, boom, 15 pounds instantly. It's always curious. Josiah Sharma being 6'4", 365. That's a bad one. I don't know what the hell I expected of Josiah Sharma.
And Sharma's a D tackle, correct?
Yes. But for Josiah Sharma to weigh more than Nick Brooks feels impossible. It does. That can't be good. So Josiah Sharma, I hadn't even eyeballed the kid. So maybe he looks 6'4", 365 in the best way possible. I guess it does not scream, well, that guy's going to play right away. I have never seen a true freshman show up that big. And it's like, oh, you know what? He's ready for 25 snaps a game. It's just, so, that one pops off, but there aren't. It's crazy to me that Jordan Washington is bigger than Will Randall by a lot, 6'4", 245. Jordan Washington is probably the biggest tight end on campus. I mean, he's not as tall as Spencer Shannon, but Spencer Shannon's 6'7", 251. It's a little shocking that Washington as a redshirt freshman has gotten that big so quickly. And considering that, it'll be interesting to just watch how he develops, because he's the only tight end, I think, right now that anybody feels pretty good about.
And you said Randall's at what, 245?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
He's going into year 3. He's not lettered yet. And going into year 3, Spencer Shannon has not lettered yet. And, that's not ideal. You don't want, guys don't typically emerge from, they didn't play enough to letter to the next year impact guys that significantly help a football team. So It's why the tight end position on paper, when Anwar and I were doing a show Monday, I guess it was yesterday, the Overaction Monday show, we're talking about our concern levels. It's hard not to look at tight end, considering they like to play 2 a lot. And the only one they have is wildly unproven. And then there's nobody really behind him that I think you could say in Columbus is definitely going to give you some snaps. So, I think the tight end position, if they can, has got to be a place where they get some help through the portal. And Chad, you've heard me say this enough. I'm okay with tampering. Do what you got to do. Nobody cares. In this age, nobody cares. So I'll give you an example. Our guy down at UTSA cared a little bit with Trey Moore, but what happened?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, true.
He's like, looks like people are calling my players early. And it's like, well, maybe so. He still went to Texas and nobody blinked.
Yep, it's true. Absolutely true. All right. As we are rolling through here, again, we got the 11 o'clock Sean Miller press conference coming up. But as we told you earlier, the guys were down at UT. We're going to maybe get one of them on here a second. We'll just have him. He's double checking a couple things here to see if we are good. But first day of spring practice and the first one of those media windows happened today, and Anwar, Jason, and Alex were down there to check it out. You can check orangebloods.com, obviously, throughout the day and throughout the coming days for all kinds of good content. Plus, we thought we'd get you a little content today. Hey, some of you have been asking, hey, where's Ketch for the modcast? Well, look what you got today. All right, let's go. Let's give it a shot. Let's do it. Let's test it on the fly. Let's see what happens. Let's see if Alex Dunlap is ready to roll. Alex, can you hear us? Oh, we cannot hear him. All right. Okay.
Hey, so while we wait for Alex to get his audio, Chad, can I start with one of the first notes? I don't want to steal Alex's thunder, but I also would like to set him up nicely.
Okay.
And then at the same time, if we sit here and wait for him, we're going to run out of time and then not talk about any of the things from practice. So let's talk a little bit about his report, and then we can get his reaction to it. The offensive line. Well, the day one offensive line across from left to right, Chad, looked like this. Trevor Gooseby at left tackle, Neto Yamuzalo at left guard, Cole Hudson at center, DJ Campbell at right guard, Andre Kojo at right tackle. The second team from left to right was Nick Brooks backing Trevor Gooseby up, with Malik Agbo working with the threes. That's fourth-year junior Malik Agbo. Jaden Chapman backing up Neto Yamuzalo with Jackson Christian, the young guy behind him. I don't think anything too crazy there. Cole Hudson, Daniel Cruz, and then Connor Robertson. That's fourth-year junior Connor Robertson behind Daniel Cruz.
All right, let's see real quick. Alex,
can you hear me now?
There you go.
We got you. Go ahead, Ketch.
Well, I had to have Anwar show me. I had to how to push the unmute button on this one.
Hey, that's what Anwar is there for, to make sure we know what buttons to push. Yeah. And then real quick, right guard, you had Nate Kibble working with the twos, Connor Stroh behind him, backing up DJ Campbell, and then at right tackle, Andre Kojo listed ahead of Brandon Baker, or at least early on. And I guess, Alex, my initial reaction to that is Malik Agbo will transfer.
Yeah.
Connor Robertson will transfer or be told to transfer. And they don't want to lose Andre Kojo yet. So but if he were behind Brandon Baker, maybe he's got 1 foot in the portal coming out of the spring. So a little bit like we've seen position battles in the past, the older guy getting the edge. What were your thoughts on the offensive line day one, just eyeballing it all?
Well, I mean, just from the eyeball test, I'll say that can you guys hear me? I'm trying to keep my voice down a little bit because I'm in this LBJ library. Okay. The just right off. Okay, so right off the top, I would like you. I'm like, man, Kojo over Baker. It felt like we'd heard so much. Coming into this spring period, that this is a guy that they'd invested in. This is a 5-star player. He's going to need to come in and really do something this year. And so I'm with you, Ketch. I was a little bit surprised by it, but there could be something to it as far as just, if you're lining up behind that guy, it means that you've been recruited over. And we did see last year, Kojo was ahead of Baker all through camp, right? All through spring, all through fall. And then it just whenever it came down to the times that actually mattered during actual football games, well, the second right tackle was Brandon Baker by the end of the season. And so it's kind of odd for me that there was a kind of a flip from him, away from him, and now back towards Kojo. It could just be a day one thing because, like I said in some of my other reporting, they had some stuff where it's like they lined up in pursuit drills and they had like Zena Umuzolo with the first group and Colin Simmons with the twos. So it's like some of this stuff, it's hard to really really buy into it. But I think as far as the offensive line, I mean, it's not like they lined up in team drills and stuff, but I've been doing enough of these practices to be able to pick up the context clues from what Flood's doing with them. And that's how they were lining up. I think that one other thing that just general thoughts about the offensive line, man, 71, Nick Brooks, he looks awesome, dude. I mean, and it's just so surprising to me. We'd heard so much. I guess he's listed now at 353. Is that right? 353? Yes, 6'7", 353. He's a mountain of a guy, dude. And Ketch, Chad, you remember watching the film, and I remember I was doing the show with Anwar at the time, and we're like, man, is this guy too big? Is he kind of too big? Is he too heavy? Like, is he gonna be able to move? Like, zero worries, man. He looks like the Rock of Gibraltar out here, dude. He looks good. He looks really good. And then I'll say the other thing, dude, about this whole 2025 offensive line class. The Coleman brothers aren't here yet, but Jackson Christian is here. Out of this group that we're kind of like, man, I don't know what to make of these guys. Jackson Christian, he's wearing 76, just like Hayden Connor used to wear. If you were just to walk out there and kind of squint a little bit, you wouldn't know the difference between Jackson Christian and Hayden Connor. It's just, he's a big dude, looks good to me, looks like he fits in. So I'll say that I was pleased with the way that the group looked and all. Not too many surprises there, I don't think. But I do agree with you, Ketch, at least about Malik Agbo. It's I'm not sure that he's long for this deal.
Yeah, I mean, you can't be a fourth-year junior.
I think it's a little bit different with Connor Robertson, because it felt like to me it wasn't quite as designated but Cruz. I mean, it was Cruz behind Hudson. It felt like to me, though, that Robertson was at least kind of like Agbo wouldn't even work in.
Kind of number two-ish.
Yeah, but kind of not. You know how, like, I'm saying if I were Robertson, I'd be like, well, at least I'm not like Agbo. You know what I mean? Having to line up with this walk-on every single time for the dual sled drills. So, yeah, but yeah, that's my general overall thoughts. I think that I think both of the lines, man, both of the lines are like super, super impressive. Like, the defensive line is big. They're bigger than last year, Ketch. They're bigger. Like, getting Tia Savea and Jermaine Lole out of there and replacing them with guys like Shaw and Brevard and Hero Canoe. Hero Canoe lining up with the first group, by the way. That was kind of interesting. Yeah, they look big this year, man.
You mentioned some of the names there, Alex. Anybody else on defense really standing out to you as they walked out there?
Yeah, I mean, I think that standing out, and well, I guess we weren't here for that much of practice, and most of what I was trying to do was just trying to get going around to the group drills, team drills, using context clues, understanding how they run practice to put together a semblance of what at least the two deep looks like. And on defense, we got a good look at it because they did, thankfully, they quit doing it for a while, but today they gave us 2 pursuit drills. So we got to see 2 different pursuit drills, and one with the first group, one with the second group. I think, man, on defense, to me, Lance Jackson, he was with the second team behind Ethan Burke at the strong side defensive end. So that to me was kind of noteworthy that Lance Jackson's already kind of working in on the 2 deep, but he's only listed at 250, I think 258. Yeah, he looks bigger than that to me, guys. He's got a really powerful lower body. Looks like he could probably still. It's almost like his upper body can maybe even do. He looks great, but it's like his upper body can maybe even do a little bit of catching up with his lower body to a slight degree. He's still got filling out to do. So I still think he could eventually be a candidate to bump into 3 tech, but he looks big out there. He looks good. Moves well, fast. I think that for me, out of these guys that I just was seeing for the first time today, Lance Jackson looks good. Hero Canoe, like I mentioned, was a little bit bigger than I would have imagined. I'd always kind of pictured him as being so much smaller than Travis Shaw and Cole Brevard, but they stand next to each other. They kind of look about the same size. Shaw's bigger than those guys. And then Cade Phillips, number 11, the freshman cornerback, he's only listed at 6 foot. To me, I would have sworn coming out of that thing that guy was listed at 6'2". And maybe it's just how long his arms are, but the way his length, his extension towards the football in these drills, is outstanding. A guy that definitely totally looks the part. And then, of course, the guys that you think are going to look good. Ant Hill, of course, looks
right.
great. You know what I mean?
This just in.
The guys who you think are going to look good still, newsflash, they still look really good because they've had another year with Torrey Becton or another.
Catch anything else you want to throw at Alex?
Yeah, I know we got to wrap up. We've got the Sean Miller thing getting ready to come up. So I know pro days, it's going to be a busy day. A couple things I just want to throw Alex's way. One, that wide receiver lineup, to me, screaming for some help in the portal. Shocking to me that Ryan Niblett moved over to the defensive side of the ball when only Dalen McCutcheon and walk-ons are in the slot right now. Just what?
Yeah.
What? I will never understand that, but they're young at wide receiver right now. It's amazing what not having DeAndre Moore in the lineup does. And I could make a case maybe they need to sign 2 wide receivers just looking at the way Alex listed them. Feels like we could do 20 minutes on Spencer Shannon. I'm going to pass on that though, Alex. TBA, that may be football with friends.
Oh man, I should put him in my video for you. That guy's one of my big takeaways, man.
I know. And considering he's not lettered yet, that he stood out to you is interesting to me because I wonder, can he even play? So
he looks like a stud, dude. Yeah.
Well, he's always looked good in his form, but he never played through the first couple of years. So that he may be a guy they lean on is interesting. I have to ask you about Justice Terry, 5-star incoming defensive tackle, the crown jewel of that late signing, listed at 263 on the roster. That's only 4 pounds more than Zena. He looks like a strong side defensive end, I'm guessing, at this point, and not a guy that's going to be playing a lot of snaps inside.
Ketch, I'll tell you the God's honest truth about Justice Terry, man. As we were entering the field, so he's wearing number 15. As we were entering the field, well, there's two things here. He was walking away from where the defensive linemen were. So I don't know what he was doing. He could have just been going to use the restroom or something. I have no idea. But during the time whenever I was getting to watch the defensive line, for one, they're on the south. They're on the far south side of the field, right? So they're way over there on that far south field. And so whenever I was watching them on the one-on-one drills, I was having to do it through binoculars and stuff. And I thank goodness we're going to have more practices, but I didn't really notice much of Terry, man. And he wasn't with the first 2 groups in the pursuit drill. So the only exposure I had to him today, as you know, these were very abbreviated periods, was just kind of having him walk by right when we first walked
What did
in.
he look like?
Oh, well, just on the hoof?
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of looked like a guy that, probably weighs about 270 pounds. Lean, long, big thighs, big calves. Hard to judge the upper body from what I was able to sort of see of him. But he looks like a big athletic guy. But I paid it that I didn't get to put him under a microscope. Clearly, he's one of the main guys that people are going to ask about. But I don't have much on Justice Terry after today.
Colton Vasek better get right and healthy quick.
Oh, it's going to be uphill, dude. With Lane.
There's a lot of dudes suddenly potentially trying to get in that spot that a year ago, you might not have quite thought, but Lance Jackson running with the twos on day one, and then knowing that Justice Terry, that may be the spot for him as well if you want to get him on the field as a freshman. It's like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a couple monsters lurking for sure. It was a bad time to have to get spring shoulder surgery.
Only monsters apply. You better be a monster if you want to get on the field at that spot.
Yeah,
Alex, get on out of here, man. We're going to wrap things up, and appreciate you jumping in.
All right, boys. I'll see y'all soon.
You got it.
That's Alex Dunlap. Also, I just heard from Anwar Ketch. He was going to jump on here. Do we want to do that, or do we want to wait till later to hear from Anwar?
You can tell him we'll get him on at noon if he can make the noon. We'll send him a message, or I'll send him a message. But let's wrap up, and I think everybody's going to be wanting to turn on the Sean Miller deal on the Longhorn Network at 11 o'clock. Let's not pretend like that's not a big deal.
Yeah, so we'll do that. And yes, the answer is there is a house divided today. Tracy, we're going to check out the Sean Miller deal. We'll come back. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about more spring practice, including hopefully getting Anwar's thoughts if he can jump in with us there. So thank you for double checking there. Also, shout out to all of you in the Specs chat, and shout out to Specs. Get all stocked up at Specs. We'll give you a quick 15 here at the end.
As a Texas family-owned business, we know you don't mess with Texas. And you won't find more ways to raise a glass of Texas-made cheer than right here. So whatever you're planning, we're ready to get you ready. Because at Specs, the fun.
All right, we're going to check out the Sean Miller press conference. You do it as well. We'll be back at 12 with House Divided. Thank you all for checking it out. First day of spring practice for Texas. Like, subscribe, get your notifications. We appreciate your support on Orange Bloods Live. Check out orangebloods.com for all that content as well.